Hello friends, welcome to a new video. Today we are going to study about transpiration. All plants continuously absorb water through their roots. This water is conducted upward through the stem and is distributed to all the aerial parts including the leaves. Only a small quantity of this water is used up by the plant in photosynthesis and other activities. The rest of it is almost lost to the atmosphere as water vapor. This evaporative loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant, that is, leaves and stem, is called transpiration. Let us go through some of the experiments to demonstrate transpiration. In our first experiment, we can see a medium-sized, well-watered potted plant. The plant is covered with a transparent polythene bag. The mouth of the bag is tied at the base of the stem. After leaving this plant in sunlight for 1 or 2 hours, we can see drops of water appearing on the inner side of the bag. If we are keeping an empty polythene bag with its mouth tied in sunlight, it will show no drops of water. We are moving to our next experiment. Here we are taking 3 bell jars. In the first setup, we can see a small, well-watered potted plant. The plant is completely enclosed by a polythene bag, as in our first experiment. The entire plant is covered under a bell jar. In the second setup, we kept a piece of dry cobalt chloride paper. In the third setup, there is no plant, but cobalt chloride paper is present. After about half an hour, we can see water vapor in the first setup. In the second setup also, there is water vapor. We can also see that the blue cobalt chloride paper turns pink. This is because the cobalt chloride paper is an indicator of moisture. It turns pink when exposed to moisture. The cobalt chloride paper in the third bell jar does not change, as there is no water vapor. The third bell jar in this experiment is a control. Now we are going to discuss about some of the methods for measuring transpiration. There are mainly 2 methods. They are weighing method and pottometer method. In the weighing method, a small lightweight potted plant can be weighed before and after the end of a certain period of time. The pot should be fully covered to prevent evaporation. The loss in weight is due to transpiration. Here we can see a glass bottle with a graduated side tube filled with water. The water level in the side tube falls as a result of transpiration. Another weighing experiment can be made by using a test tube filled with water and a leafy shoot with no roots. Some oil is poured on the surface to prevent evaporation. This setup can be weighed before and after a certain period of time. Difference in weight indicate transpiration. As there is no root to absorb water, the water loss through transpiration will be much less. Another method to measure transpiration is pottometer method. Pottometer measures the rate of water intake by a plant. This water intake is almost equal to the water lost through transpiration. This picture shows Gannong's pottometer. A twig of a plant is fixed in the apparatus. The entire apparatus is filled with water. An air bubble is introduced into the capillary tube, which is dipping into a beaker containing colored water. This is done by lifting the tube above the water and again dipped into the water. As the transpiration proceeds, a suction force is set up which pulls the water from the beaker and the bubble moves along. The reading on the capillary tube would give the volume of water lost. Even though pottometer is a good device to measure transpiration, there are some limitations in the use of pottometer. Let us look through it. Firstly, introducing the air bubble is not very easy. Next, the tube may not remain fully alive for a long time. Any change in the outside air temperature may affect the position of the air bubble in the capillary tube. Now we are going to study about kinds of transpiration. There are three main types of transpiration. They are stomatal transpiration, cuticular transpiration and lenticular transpiration. Stomatal transpiration occurs from the leaves through the stomata. Cuticular transpiration occurs directly from the surface of the leaves and stems. Lenticular transpiration occurs from the lenticels, which are the minute openings on the surface of old stems. The major part of the transpiration occurs through the stomata. So, let us go through the mechanism of stomatal transpiration. Stomata are minute openings in the epidermal layer of leaves. A stoma is surrounded by two guard cells. During daytime, the stomata are wide open for the intake of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. So, the water vapor escapes through these stomata. In this picture, we can see a vertical section of leaf. There are large number of spongy mesophyll cells have their surfaces exposed to intercellular spaces. These cells gives out some water as thin film. This water film evaporates and water vapor diffuses into the other connecting intercellular spaces and finally reaches substomatal space. Then it escapes through the stomata. We know that major part of transpiration occurs through the leaves. Then our next question is which surface of the leaf, that is under surface or upper surface, contribute more transpiration. There are more stomatal openings on the undersurface of a dicot leaf and therefore more transpiration occurs from the undersurface. Here is an experiment to prove this. Dry cobalt chloride paper are attached to the two surfaces of a leaf. The lower surface turns pink much faster than the upper surface. Stomata helps to regulate transpiration. Let us see how stomatal regulation of transpiration occurs. We know stomata are pores in the leaves that allow gas exchange, where water vapor leaves the plant and carbon dioxide enters. Special cells called guard cells control each pores opening and closing. When stomata are open, transpiration rates increases. When they are closed, transpiration rate decreases. We are moving to our next topic, that is factors affecting transpiration. There are external factors and internal factors which affect transpiration. The external factors are the intensity of sunlight, temperature, velocity of wind, humidity, carbon dioxide and atmospheric pressure. Transpiration increases with intensity of sunlight as stomata are open during daytime. Increase in temperature also increases transpiration. Like that, transpiration also increases with velocity of wind. Increase in humidity, carbon dioxide level and atmospheric pressure decreases transpiration. Water content of the leaves is an external factor that affects transpiration. If the water content of the leaves decreases, the leaves wilt and transpiration is reduced. Plants which grow in a dry climate needs to reduce water loss by transpiration. They have evolved a variety of adaptations to curtail transpiration. Let us discuss some of them. The first one is sunken stomata. The stomata may be sunken or are covered by hairs, as in nerium. Next one is fewer stomata. The number of stomata may be reduced. The next is narrow leaves. The leaves may become narrower to reduce surface area. Next, reduced exposed surface. In some cases, the exposed surface may wavy, rolled or folded to reduce exposed surface. Then, loss of leaves. In some cases, the leaves may be dropped or may be absent or changes into spines as cactus. Then next adaptation is thick cuticle. The leaves may be covered by thick cuticle. Example, banyan and most evergreen trees. Let us discuss about advantages of transpiration, that is significance of transpiration. The main advantages are it gives a cooling effect to the plants. Otherwise, at intense heat, the enzymes are destroyed. Then, it helps in ascent of sap by producing a suction force, as water evaporates from the leaves. Thus, it helps in absorption of water from the soil. It also helps to distribute water and minerals throughout the plant body. Transpiration affects climate also. We know forest contributes in bringing rain. Actually, transpiration is the secret behind it. We have studied about transpiration till now. Next, we are going to understand about two processes, that is guttation and bleeding. These two processes are direct loss of water by plants. At first, we are discussing about guttation. In this picture, we can see droplets of water on the margins of the leaves. This is guttation. This happens in plants growing in warm, humid condition. There are special pore-bearing structures called hydatodes on the margins to facilitate guttation. This is quite common in banana. Then bleeding. This occurs only due to injury. The plant sap bleeds from the cut surface of a plant. The root pressure is responsible for bleeding. This figure represents the phenomena related to the intake and loss of water in a plant. We can see water moves to root hairs by imbibition and osmosis. Then it reaches xylem through cortex of the root. Then the water transported through the stem by forces, cohesion, root pressure, capillary, etc. From stem, some amount of water escapes out by lenticular transpiration. Then it reaches leaves. From leaves, water escapes out by cuticular and stomatal transpiration. Water also goes out by guttation. This is the end of our class for today. See you soon in another class. Thank you.